we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system.
That is Meta owner, Facebook, Instagram owner, Mark Zuckerberg, from just a couple of days ago with a rather, I think, fair to say, startling decision to, as he said, stop with the fact-checking on both those sites and, in fact, go to what he called, communities, right, which is what they do on X right now. So I played that because this is when we talk about tech for the week, and clearly this is the biggest story in tech. Carmi Levy, CTV tech analyst, is on the line. So, Carmi, let's start with that. I hate to say it certainly smells of politics when you consider that, of course, in the past, Donald Trump, I think at one point said, Facebook should be outlawed. They should go hang and arrest or whatever, Mark Zuckerberg. So this is 180 degrees from where that was. Is this political, do you think, in nature?
Oh, 100%. It isn't just startling. It doesn't just smell, Aaron. It reeks. And if you kind of listen into the wording, the phrasing that Mr. Zuckerberg used in the rest of his video, it almost sounds like a list of Republican talking points. And in many ways, it comes directly from the White House. Here we are, a little over a week and a half away from Donald Trump taking office on the 20th. Mark Zuckerberg has already made pilgrimage to Mar-a-Lago. He's already donated $1 million to the inauguration fund, as has Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, as has Sundar Pichai, who's the CEO of Alphabet, Google's parent company. And so one by one, all of the tech billionaires are essentially ensuring that they're aligned with Mr. Trump, even if they have quite the history with the man in the past. And Mr. Trump has railed against them over the years for too much content moderation, not being fair to Republicans, whatever complaints. Most of them, of course, not grounded in truth, but that doesn't matter in his world. And so what they're doing really is preparing for the next 4 years, ensuring that they are seen as friends of the new administration so that Donald Trump doesn't wake up in the middle of the night and suddenly decide to put them on blast with a social media post like he's done in the past. It's simply, this is what CEOs do. They behave in ways that are good for their company, even if they make the rest of us want to vomit.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. I would ask with respect to how this will work going forward for people who don't understand, right? The idea of fact-checking versus what he calls, community. What's the difference here, Carmi? How will it change?
So it's going to look a lot like what X has already done. So basically, if you come across something on either Facebook, Instagram, or Threads, the newer platform, that you think qualifies as misinformation, you will then be able to tag it, much like you do today. And then that initiates an investigation process. Today, those fact checkers, those content moderators, digital safety personnel, they will take those complaints and do some research into them, dig a little bit into the background, and decide whether it should be removed, whether it should be retained with a note attached to it, or whether they do nothing at all. Maybe the complaint is unfounded. What essentially happens now is those fact checkers go away, and instead, the responsibility for adjudicating these complaints falls now on the community. You and I, if we want, we can devote our time to do this. And much like on X, members of the public can weigh in and attach what's called a community note to contentious content to provide additional facts, additional content, maybe correct any misinformation that might be there. It sounds great in theory. On paper, this is a perfect solution. It's kind of how Wikipedia operates. It's an entirely voluntary public thing known as crowdsourcing. The problem here is, as we've seen on X, in many cases, it isn't about surfacing the truth. You end up with opposing factions battling each other out to see who can scream the loudest. And so it really isn't about getting rid of misinformation. It's all about maybe reducing costs for Meta and ensuring that Donald Trump is happy with the result. Nothing more, nothing less.
With respect to hateful comments, racist comments, what happens with that kind of stuff?
Mark Zuckerberg has admitted as part of his comments that it will probably lead to a rise in harmful content, at least in the near term. I think he's understating the problem. It's going to turn these platforms into essentially a hellscape, which is what we've seen happen on X, which is if you are concerned about the level of toxicity on social media, misinformation, predatory behavior, anything that would make you feel less safe, we are about to go from bad to worse because there will be no adults in the room. It will be an absolute free-for-all, and it's only a matter of time before those kind of dark forces take advantage of the fact that there are fewer controls, looser controls, which is exactly what Donald Trump wants. He doesn't want moderation online. He has falsely accused the platforms of censoring him, and he essentially wants to be able to say what he wants. He wants his followers to be able to say what they want, even if it's, if it's misinformation, even if it's damaging, even if it's harmful to others across society. It doesn't really matter under the new regime.
Let's move from Meta and for Facebook and Instagram, if you can, off to TikTok. So we've talked about TikTok in the past, attempts to basically shut it down. Now, what is happening in the U.S.? Because I'm not sure that we sort of follow the same example here, but if TikTok was going to be outlawed, is the Trump administration favor that or not?
Trump administration does not want TikTok to be outlawed. Donald Trump famously tried to outlaw them during his first administration, but he has since had a change of heart. And he's decided he wants to save them. Of course, right now, the company is under a Biden administration law, an order that requires them to sell themselves to an American company by January 19th, 10 days from now, or risk being ordered to shut down in the U.S. Donald Trump has said he's asked for a delay to that so that he can work out what he calls a political solution when he gets into office. He has asked the Supreme Court for that. He filed an amicus brief on that. TikTok's lawyers are asking for that as well. That will be heard in the U.S. Supreme Court tomorrow. And so the Supreme Court might stop the proceedings entirely, might delay them. And if they don't, then January 19th is kind of the day that there's the possibility of a shutdown in the U.S. Here in Canada, this doesn't apply here. But of course, there are 14 million Canadians who use the app regularly. We're going to notice if suddenly 170 million American users drop offline. There are a lot of influencers that we follow, a lot of customers that Canadian businesses market to on TikTok. It's going to have a huge effect here north of the border as well.
Yeah, I don't want to involve a conspiracy theory here, but Trump, who you said has changed his mind on this. Remember, they were looking to try to get an American buyer under, you said, the Biden administration. There's nothing to suggest that, I don't know, someone who's friendly to Donald Trump, who happens to have a few, spare billion dollars, could conceivably buy this as well, right?
I would expect that those negotiations are probably already happening now, and I would expect if an announcement is going to happen, it's going to come before the 19th. I think someone might be able to score a screening deal on TikTok if they want. The problem then becomes if it's owned by an American company, ByteDance, which is the Chinese company that currently owns them, they have said they will not allow the algorithm to go with the sale. In other words, it'll look like TikTok. It'll have the logo on it. It'll still be the same app, but in the background, it'll work very differently. And it might not be the viral, crazy video dancing sensation that it's been all along. So it might be a case of Donald Trump will get what he wants, but you got to be careful what you wish for because it might kill the goose that laid the golden egg.
Okay. Last thing I want to bring up just really quickly here, and just because this story I thought had gone away, that Cybertruck, the person who blew himself up in front of the Trump's hotel in Las Vegas, now we know AI was involved. What's that story?
So the perpetrator who ended his life just before the truck blew up, they analyzed his online accounts and they found that he was using ChatGPT before the attack, looking for information on explosive targets, the speed at which certain rounds of ammunition would travel, and whether fireworks were legal in Arizona. Of course, this was all connected to what actually played out on that street in front of the Trump Hotel. So this is the first time where a chatbot has been used in the commission of a crime or the planning of a crime. And it illustrates that if the public at large is using AI tools increasingly, chances are criminals are going to be using them as well. And we kind of have to ask ourselves the question, are we building the right kinds of guardrails in place to ensure that tools like this can't be used for crimes in future? It's going to happen. We have to start studying how we prevent that from happening again.
Carmi Levy, CTV tech analyst. Carmi, thanks so much and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
You bet.